on your screen. And speaking of games, we are actually ready to launch straight into our first one. We're going to have Stittler versus Mysterious. Let's take a look at the classes. Priest and Rogue bans, so Mysterious banning Priest and Stittler banning Rogue. What do you make of that, my friend?
Pretty interesting bans. It's kind of expected, but also kind of not. The over the weekend at HCT, the most banned class was definitely Druid by a fair margin. But for the winner of the whole tournament, Surrender, his general strategy was just to ban the Rogue. So Stittler there going with, you know, I think I'll go with what the pro has been, you know, the champion has been going for. But for Mysterious, I think it's interesting that he is banning the Priest instead of the Druid, because it's a very similar lineup to, in terms of decks, classes at least, sorry, to what Orange and Purple were bringing. Yeah. But they were banning the Druid.
Hey, look, I mean, if you can curve out Raza and Anduin, you can probably beat Druid in a lot of circumstances. Maybe he's just hoping the heart of the cards is with him. Also, Surrender did bring a really, Surrender did bring a really cool lineup, including the Paladin, right? So he had that Paladin coming through. So Stittler trying to take a different approach, but with a different lineup as well. We'll have to see how that works out for him. So we're going to jump straight into this game. And Darok, just based on what you see here, obviously Mysterious has had quite a celebrated background in ESL Premiership, making multiple finals. Who are you favouring going into this?
I mean, like you said, Mysterious has made every single final so far, so I have to favour him going in. He's got a lineup that is tried and true, whereas Stittler, bringing the Warrior here, to be honest, I was expecting some kind of a control Warrior, be it N'Zoth or Fatigue, but here we see the Pirate Warrior definitely fallen out of favour since the nerf to Fiery Warax in particular, has gone in the direction of Keleseth, but with no extremely explosive start with Keleseth to get things going. I think I favour Mysterious' chances overall.
Did Mysterious just forget to attack with patches? I believe he did.
I think he might have been expecting it to be a control warrior and therefore didn't want to activate Battle Rage.
That makes sense.
But yeah, obviously if it is a pirate warrior, it's a mistake. But overall, I can see the reasoning at least.
His reaction actually tells me that you were probably exactly correct there, Darok. he was very surprised that this was a pirate warrior coming out from Stittler here, and like you said, didn't want to give him the free card draw. So actually, Mysterious playing that first turn from what he expected this to be, and now he has to think about his following turn. Looks like he's just going to try and fill the board with some pesky 1-2s, makes it a bit more difficult to clear it completely this time round. And now Stittler chooses to respond. And again, Pirate Warrior is one of those decks that kind of plays itself in terms of curvature.
Yeah, for the early turns at least, I can give you that. He obviously didn't have to coin out the upgrade on the previous turn. He could have just been happy with killing off only the patches. But I definitely like using the upgrade as well because of exactly this. It denies the Primal Fin totem. You're not going to go for it on turn 2 when your opponent can cleanly get rid of it, instead having to go with the Firefly, hoping to stick some kind of a board with that instead. Mysterious does now have the Bloodsail Corsair to get rid of one of the charges of this weapon, but it's just not really the most impactful. Do you maybe save it to go for an Arcanite Reaper, or is it more important to secure board control right now?
You're still going to lose board if you just take off 1 durability from this weapon, right? Because you just don't have enough to fill the board with anything meaningful. And if you roll a 1-1 totem as well, you know it's even going to be worse for you, given that the Fireflies are going to trade into that nicely. Looks like he's going to say, I know that you're going to have to trade potentially that last charge into this Primal Fin totem. So just trying to put as much presence down on the board as possible, go as wide as possible where he can, but you can see Stittler has got a really nice answer to that.
Yeah, it's just been kind of rough and Mysterious right from the get-go. I think it's just been Stittler, you know, playing to his advantage in that he's not a very well-known player. Mysterious had no read at all on what this warrior deck was. As you know, I was saying I expected it to be a control warrior, but Stittler is not known for aggro or control, so Mysterious having to adapt on the fly instead.
It's a tough turn for Mysterious now because can't really trade in. You kind of have to, but it also feels bad because you're going to give more attack to that Frothing Berserker. He has got that turn 6 combo of Doppelgangster and Evolve. Sometimes can literally save the day here for the Evolve Shaman. It's sort of the sort of sought-after combo that you'll be looking for, but Stittler is firmly in control. That is a beefy Frothing Berserker at 10 attack right now. And Mysterious, I don't even know if he's going to live to see turn 6 at this rate.
I think you're pretty much on the money there. It's been perfect curving for Stittler right from the get-go. N'Zoth's first mate with an upgrade is just insanely good. And it's not even that bad that he was on the coin. When you have N'Zoth's first mate with the coin in this deck, you can allow yourself those openings like coin into Firefly, coin into upgrade, and just fight back so aggressively against the control shaman, against the token shaman, sorry.
I like that he took out the Wrath of Air totem, just to make sure that playing around maybe double Maelstrom Portal, plays around, you know, some people have been bringing Lightning Storm back in some of these German decks. I've seen a couple of things on ladder, albeit at low ranks, but, you know, regardless, you know, he plays around that to make sure that he keeps this Frothing Berserker alive and well.
Yep, and also just realizing, you know, he's got plenty enough damage anyway. That's not the worry. If this Frothing Berserker survives, he will win. I mean, even in this situation, it has to be, what, triple Sunwalker?
It's got to be triple Taunt, triple Sunwalker, something like that. I mean, stranger things have happened, my friend.
Here we go. Wow, that's actually
one Sunwalker.
Incredibly good. Wow.
That's one Sunwalker. That's really good for Mysterious. I mean, Derek, I think you need to be picking my lottery numbers, because at least we get 1/3 of them, right?
Yeah, I think that's kind of on brand for Derek Brown. Just, you know, almost halfway good.
I don't know how much it helps him. It definitely keeps him alive this turn. He's got Jade Lightning on board. He might be able to sort of garner some form of board control back here.
It's still going to be tough, I've got to be honest. Attacking in here, yeah, it's going to be traded into by the Ogre no matter what, so get rid of the Behemoth while you can. And now you have an 8/8, which is just as big of a worry. You know, 3 damage is enough. 8, 3, 19, whatever. As long as you can kill your opponent on the following turn. And short of another Evolve getting it done here, I just don't think there's anything that can bring it through here.
It's got to be another Evolve into, so you know, you run a Totem, you run Jade Lightning, you maybe evolve just with the Jade Lightning into the 19-1 and look for 2 taunts at least. Again, it's got to be one of those magical Evolve moments for Mysterious.
I've got to be honest though, I don't know the numbers on whether it was better to play the hero power after or before the evolve, because obviously
more likely to get 25% on the...
You've got a 25%, but I think with 2 drops, you're probably more likely to not get a taunt if you go for the evolve after. But if you do get a taunt, it's going to be a lot better than the 0-2. But either way here, kind of going as expected, a incredibly powerful, with a taste of BM finish for Stittler.
And Mysterious is one of those nice guys that lets you finish the game. You know, if this was Pavel, he'd be... escape conceding already, but Mysterious he lets Stittler make the finishing blow. Just like there, just like, all right, go on then, smack me in the face, whatever makes you happy. And there we go. It's going to be Pirate Warrior securing the first win for Stittler here. And, you know, like you said, Daruk, he expected, or seemingly expected, the Control Warrior coming out, and was very surprised to see Pirate Warrior. And actually, I've often found that the Evolved Shaman, especially if you can get on board early, doesn't have the worst time in the world against Pirate Warrior. Being, you know, Pirate Warrior's main win condition these days is kind of control the board. Yep. It's less about hit them in the face as hard and quickly as I can. It's just chunk these minions down, then get towards the Arcanite Reaper to go to face. And Mysterious just couldn't get on board in that game, and everything was in Stittler's favor. That's right. The start, as I said, the N'Zoth's first mate into upgrade was just too powerful. A 2/4 weapon, better than Fiery War Axe even, even though that's gone. But going into the next few games, although I was expecting right out the gate for it to be a Jade Druid from Stittler, well, actually now we do see it is very likely to be the Jade Druid. I was going to say, that was not necessarily the correct assumption, because we see the aggressive Pirate Warrior. Druid, it's Big Druid. It's Big Druid. Okay, so I was still wrong. I was wrong in the wrong direction as well. Goodness me, Big Druid is the call for Stittler here. It's an interesting one, because Big Druid can be one of those decks that if you don't pick up that early ramp, it can really brick hard, and you can see Stittler is bricking until turn 5 right now, and that gives Mysterious the time to ramp up. He's got Wild Growth in hand. He's got Maya Keeper, so Wild Growth into Maya Keeper, the replacement almost for Innovate, direct in for out. If you're looking at Mysterious right now, you're saying this guy is going to be able to start getting big Jades online pretty quickly too. Yeah, the Big Druid kind of suffered, the loss most heavily. In the most recent Big Druid list I've seen is running Innovates, and it's not running Maya Keepers, I believe. It's instead going for double Jade Blossom to make sure every minion that they're playing is an impactful one, so they can stick Barns in there, and when they play the Barns, it will be summoning, you know, hopefully Yasharaj, the Lich King, Ysera, whatever. It's just some powerful minion rather than the Maya Keeper. But that is by no means the list that Stittler is playing. Stittler going for a double Wrath here. Yeah, absolutely right. Like, you know, you don't care about a 3-body on board. You just want to draw cards at this point. Exactly. You don't even really care about the Wraths for damage that much, because if you're going to be winning this game on board, you're probably going to be miles ahead, and if you lose, you're going to be miles behind. So Stittler missed Wild Growth, he missed Jade Blossom, he didn't hit Barnes. He has been in a tough position so far, but he has got the card, Ultimate Infestation in hand. He's also got some big, chunky minions to work with. Next turn, Lich King is likely able to come down. And then he can Innovate out something like Ishaj the following turn, as Innovate is just a glorified coin now. Yep.
it's really not looking bad. Like, as you said, Lich King on the following turn. On the next turn, you probably go for Yasharaj over Ultimate Infestation, because obviously the 5 cards is nice, but it doesn't actually influence the board. And hopefully you can pull out something like Deathwing Dragon Lord, or I don't know, Ysera, whatever big cards are in Big Druid at the moment.
Whatever cards are in Big Druid right now.
You just type 9 in the collection and just click, 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 click.
Well, actually, it looks like Stittler is considering, I think he just picked up a Medivh there.
Wow.
And that might be playing into Ultimate Infestation down the line. This is going to be a Big Druid that in 2 turns' time is going to be slamming 10-drop minions left, right, and center. And again, at this point, if you have Medivh and you've got double in Ultimate Infestation, even if you're burning cards, you've got Ishaj, you've got Alexstrasza in hand, you're going to be filling the board with pretty monstrous things regardless.
So I think I like going for the Lich King right here because of the fact that we've still got the game plan of Lich King into Innovate Yasharaj, and then once you've started to dump some of your hands, then you go with the Medivh and follow up with the Ultimate Infestation, because I think right now an 8/8 with Taunt and an effect is more powerful than a 7/7, and you don't then have to go for Innovate into Ultimate Infestation. You can instead go Innovate Yasharaj.
And actually, you can see here from Mysterious, Stittler knows that either he's going to have a Wrath or he's going to have a Swipe, or he has to pretty much trade his entire board in here to clear this. And actually makes a turn 8 play for Mysterious feel pretty bad, because like you said, he's got minions that he wants to play. He had the Vandral Malfurion, which is always really nice to potentially put on board. The Poisonous, very, very good against Big Druid if they don't have the responses to it, can't get through those taunts. And
I hadn't actually considered that. That could be really powerful indeed.
But again, you know, that's... Whoa, okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, this is an interesting play, because obviously when you're down to, what was it, 11 health before the Alexstrasza, you are afraid of dying. Your opponent's got 10 damage on the board, so you would die.
Yeah, he was dead on board.
So you have to take some kind of a defensive measure. So yeah, this is probably the right play, but Medivh into the... Well, actually, Medivh into the Earthen Scales doesn't actually develop you any more stats on the board. So,
and you also waste 2 charges of your Medivh's Atish. You just get a 0-drop and a 1-drop minion on board. He's actually going to go for Ultimate Infestation here. There was lots of choices. I do like what he's considering, but he had a few choices on board here, Derek. He's going to take the Ultimate Infestation. He could have gone Malfurion Wrath with the Vandral up and, you know, could have looked for those poisonous minions, potentially trade upwards and secure the board from here. But he just wants to get a big hand, get card advantage over Stittler, and take some pretty decent trades with the Ultimate Infestation and maintain Vandral too. And look at those options he's got. He's got the key card in Jade Druid as well. Aya picked up in his hand here.
I'm not necessarily skeptical, but I'm just thinking pretty hard about whether it was worth going face there with the Ultimate Infestation. You have a Taunt in the way to block the Alexstrasza from doing anything too relevant. You have used both of your swipes, so your burst potential is massively limited. It's basically just the 3 from Malfurion. So yeah, maybe getting rid of it is the right play, but you have to bear in mind in this situation, your opponent very likely has a whole bunch of big stuff in hand. They missed pretty much all the ramp, so it's very likely to be Ultimate Infestations and other big cards.
So options for Mysterious in abundance right now. Like he said, he still has those glowing cards. And, you know, in Hearthstone, it's pretty good to play glowing cards. They often do good things.
I quite agree.
But he's also got things like Aya in hand. And the problem with Aya and the follow-up of a Jade Golem, a Jade Spirit, for instance, just means there just isn't enough board space. So he's going to have to be forced to trade something off. You would get a full board with Malfurion, and you could also use Wrath to trade up in something. You could use 2 targets to trade up at that point. There's a couple of options for Mysterious. I mean, if you were him in his shoes, what would you be considering?
I think I would just be going for the most board development possible. If you're trading into your opponent's minions here too aggressively, you're probably just not going to be winning. Maybe it's worth killing off the Yasharaj here to stop it drawing any more cards from the deck, sorry. But I think that the main thing to take away here is he chose to kill off Alexstrasza on the previous turn, and now he is behind on board. If he'd gone more aggressive, he might have had lethal on this turn with the Malfurion.
Interestingly enough as well, because Deathwing was pulled, that is now an out gone for Stittler. You know, it's a Hail Mary play. You can just slam Deathwing on the board, turn 10, clear things out and say, what have you got? But Stittler has lost that now because Ishaj did pull it. And it's, you know, Stittler's now on the ropes. He's got 2 minions on board, albeit they're very chunky minions, but they have to trade into multiple things, all of which are going to have to try and limit this on-lethal board that Mysterious has right now. It's going to be the Ultimate Infestation, which means he's got to hope that he pulls something good and doesn't burn anything amazing.
I mean, if he gets an Innovate as well off the top, he can play the Earthen Scales, gain 13 armor. He burns the Drake, though. That is important because it cannot be pulled from a taunt with the Yasharaj, but that is an insanely good draw here. He's going offensive. He's going to just close out the game. And maybe we're in a situation here. Stittler is at 25 health. He's not in danger of dying here. Mysterious has to trade again.
He's got to trade again. Is this the point now where Malfurion comes down and we get those nice-looking poisonous minions on board?
Oh, it's just too late that they don't have charge.
Maybe you could do some fancy things with Primordial Drake and Wrath here. You do have the Wrath from the Fandral, so obviously you've got the 4 damage coming out from that and the 2 damage to everything with Primordial Drake. I think it would be possible to clear up a number of things here for Mysterious if you wanted to. So
this is why I'm kind of skeptical as well that on the previous turn, Mysterious had the opportunity to go for Ire into Jade Spirit instead of double Jade Blossom into Spirit, and I think that the Ire Blackpool would have ended up better on the previous turn because the 5 attack is better than getting an extra Jade development right away, I think.
He's going to make the Primordial Drake play. I think it was realistically the only play that he could do to survive. He also has that Wrath in hand. Can't trade into Deathwing with it, but is just going to do it to reduce the damage to make it so that the only trade into Primordial Drake would be Deathwing at this point on board if there is nothing from Stittler to follow up. But Stittler found his way back into the game with an excellent draw from Ultimate Infestation. He took the risk with Ultimate Infestation as well, because if he drew Dud, he was pretty much dead on board.
Oh, Kun the Forgotten King as well, just to add to this already just insanely threatening board. Has no way of killing off the Primordial Drake without attacking him because obviously, well, actually no, you could go, for the either swipe Hero Power or Ultimate Infestation.
He's got Death Coil as well in hand.
I think that's Death Grip.
Oh, is it Death Grip? Yes, sorry. It is Death Grip. Let's see what it pulls.
I mean, maybe you could get something pretty good, but probably, yeah, either a tech card like Galaka or Doomsayer or a Jade, which isn't going to be doing much for you anyway. Death Grip, not the most important. You are mainly just looking to deny your opponent a powerful Jade instead of gaining anything too relevant yourself.
So Stittler could here swipe Hero Power and then trade the 3-1 in to the Drake, which I think is what he's going to do here because he has another swipe in hand. It just means you can connect Deathwing to face without having to trade it off. Very important because it puts Mysterious now on a timer. He's a next turn timer.
I think probably if you were going to go for this play, though, the draw wasn't that necessary with the Wild Growth, while neither the Death Grip was. I probably... Actually, no. Going for the Mire Keeper would have opened up Spreading Plague a bit too much for your opponent. So, yeah, it's probably best to keep your board small and tall.
He has been playing quite well around Spreading Plague for the most part. I think Mysterious did a bit of work on that as well with those big wide boards that he achieved a couple of turns earlier. And you can see it's been a dead card in Mysterious's hand.
Really has.
And look at these very risky decks that Stittler has brought. I mean, Pirate Warrior can be risky right now. It's not exactly top-tier aggro deck, right? It's, it's pretty decent, but not fantastic from what we've seen from HCT. Big Druid is just something that, like we said, can brick really hard if you just don't get those crucial draws. But he's made it work for him, and Mysterious has been put on the ropes.
To be fair, this wasn't an insane draw from the Druid. He got fairly average throughout. Like, he ramped up without Wild Growth, Mire Keeper, or Jade Blossoms as the Big Druid.
It's not bad here for Mysterious, though. One of these poisonous minions, unless a Wrath comes out or something, obviously Mysterious knows that there is going to be removal still left in Stittler's kit. But we can see here it will be very difficult to get both of these killed this turn whilst getting through the taunts at the same time. So it's not bad. It means Mysterious is likely going to get at least one value trade off these poisonous spiders here.
Could see drawing with the Wild Growth for a Primordial Drake. I did see that at least one has been burnt from the previous Ultimate Infestation, but I did not see if the other one has been burnt. But even though, because of the fact that one has been burnt, and we don't even know if two are in the deck, it's probably not worth drawing it. I think you want to be working with what you've got in hand here.
And that's the question, Derek. What has he got in hand? He's got, again, both of these players have had options in numerous amounts across these last few turns. He's going to get at least one trade here. He's going to swipe one of them down. Hero Power the other one, so there you go. He's able to just get both of them cleared up while trading into the two taunts. But it does mean he keeps a pretty hefty board for Mysterious here. And Mysterious needs just... count that up. He needs just 5 damage, I believe. 5 damage from somewhere.
Wow.
He's used 2 swipes, though, I'm afraid, so he will not be able to find the lethal with swipe. But it's a good spreading plague on board if he wanted it as well.
Yeah, you can trade. It kind of it involves attacking minions into your opponent's minions where they don't die, but yours do, which feels a little bit rough. You could make 3 spreading plague scarabs, sorry, and then attack in and kill the Deathwing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the way to go.
Or you could just slam a Jade Behemoth and Jade Spirit and just pump more big Jades out, force answers from Stittler whilst killing off the Deathwing.
Yeah, I think actually now that I look at it, I prefer that, because you're not only protecting yourself, you're attacking your opponent, getting them that little bit closer to killing them off.
But what is he doing most importantly?
But most important, he smack the opponent's face.
Okay, Derek, I like it.
Okay, thanks.
You tried, and I'll give you a gold star for effort, my friend.
Thank you.
And now he's begging questions of Stittler.
Yeah.
And this has been a very back and forth game between these two. Now, Fury and the Pestilent is in hand for Stittler. He can just get a 2-1-5 taunts on board. But I think, well, with the 5 armor, I think that actually saves him.
Yeah, I think it does. And then you could go for
Wild Growth to draw a card. You could use your hero power.
Doomsayer, which has no chance of going off. There is, with the hero power, a way for Mysterious to kill it off on board. But maybe it's worth it anyway. It just gives you another turn to hopefully try and get yourself that little bit closer to stabilizing on the board. But this is where Big Druid just really starts to fall apart. When your opponent is summoning minions that do the same thing that you do
for 1 mana.
6 mana and 1 mana instead of 10, like, how do you possibly stand a chance?
Mysterious has done a really good job to claw his way back in. Spreading Plague. It's an interesting one here. He knows that he's not going to be able to trade any minions off apart from maybe his 2-3.
Yeah, so he would be at, what, 16 health, then 9 after the attack in. He'd probably be alive, given that we've already seen the swipe, so I'm not sure why he's not going for Ire. He's seen Deathwing, so he's not afraid of his board being cleared, and then he can't repopulate.
Yeah, and even UI wouldn't kill him with just the 7-3 on board either. We've seen 2 innovates as well, so there's no way that you could do UI, double innovate into hero power. But I think at this point, you know, you have limited time to calculate all the options. It is Big Druid, like you said at the start of this game. Whatever Big Druid is playing right now, Mysterious might not know what Big Druid is playing right now, and there could be anything in that deck. So he's just taking the safe option to make sure this 7 damage is difficult to connect to face. And I think when you're in this position, why not just take the safe option? And Mysterious ties it up 1-1. Very back and forth though, Darren.
Really, really cool game to see right out the gate. I really like those openings where neither player gets the absolute nuts. Like, it was a good opening for Mysterious.
Wild Growth into my keeper sounds like
it was a good opening, yeah. It got pretty well. But to be honest, it was a pretty good start for the Big Druid. Like, if you're not up against the most aggressive decks, you don't need the ultimate highest amount of ramp. Nourish on 5 is probably enough, yeah.
I mean, there's the 2 ways I ever see Jade Druid sort of go out. You either tempo them out with just Jades every turn, and you get sort of a 4-4 Jade by turn 4, turn 5, and then you go into Ire and you're just tempoing out your opponent. That probably would have put a real stick in the mud, with risk of sounding like a 70-year-old. That would have been a real stick in the mud there for Stittler. But like you said, Mysterious was ramping himself, and against the Big Druid, who was eventually going to find some ramp somewhere, it was a nice, easy game for Stittler to get through the first 5 turns with, and he was pretty happy with it. And I think one of the key moments for me was when he just used that double Wrath to draw, knowing that 3-3 on board is never going to threaten him enough in the early game. Just get that draw going, try and get towards something that's going to make you powerful in the late game. But regardless, Mysterious took it because Jade Druid just did Jade Druid things.
He did indeed. And now we've got the matchup. This is the mage I was expecting Stittler to be bringing with his aggressive Pirate Warrior. And, you know, Big Druid, I mean, not an aggressive deck, but pretty powerful in terms of delivering damage to face. The Secret Mage is definitely a bit more what I was expecting over the Quest or Control Jaina mages. It's not going to have a particularly good matchup here, especially when the Shaman gets really nice ways to start out the game. We've got Jade Claws with Patches to close down this early game, and given that your opponent is going Coin Medivh's Valet, and you can then finish it off with the second half of the Jade Claws and the Jade itself while keeping your hero power going. Unless something like a Kirintor Mage comes down for Stittler, I think it's going to be a little bit too slow.
Yeah, I think Mysterious happy with the start that he will have had here. Hero power, obviously after Jade Claws, pretty standard You lock that mana up on turn 3, so not many options in Mysterious for hand, but he still has that board at this point in time. And you'll see here Counterspell just coming through for Stittler, but obviously Mysterious will be thinking about what kind of secret that will be. He could go for the Jade Lightning to face, but I think he's going to quite happily play around that Counterspell, though it doesn't want to waste Jade Lightning. It's such a good board trading tool. And maybe even going to just look to proc it.
So yeah, Maelstrom is definitely one of the best cards to proc Counterspell with, because it's not particularly high impact anyway. And if it isn't Counterspell, you still get a minion out of it, so it's still a good way to populate the board. Yeah. If he'd had 4 minions on board here, Bloodlust could be pretty good. I
also like the way he saw Medivh's Valet in the hand already from Stittler, and so therefore by taking rid of that Counterspell, you basically make it a 2-mana 2/3. It's basically River Crocodile at this point. So Mysterious making sure that, you know, Stittler's not going to get board trading value out of having a secret on board, and that was a really nice play by Mysterious. Also frees up Jade Lightning for this turn, allowing him to trade nicely into the board state as it is.
Yeah, that's, you know, that is another reason of why he made the play. He realizes he had Jade Lightning and Bloodlust in hand. Strong, expensive cards. You really can't be affording to lose that much tempo by counterspelling them. But if your opponent spent 3 mana on counterspell, you spend 2 mana on a Maelstrom Portal, you're just going to end up ahead. And we can see it. The proof is in the pudding. Mysterious is still ahead on board, and he's showing no signs of slowing.
Stittler with a nice turn 5, though. And Stittler plays very quickly. Both of these players have had pretty quick turns. Sometimes you see players really take their time, sort of considering their plays, but Stittler every single time knows exactly how he wants to play it out. Mysterious has got options on board here. I don't think it's close to lethal, but you know, it's getting towards that way, Derek.
Yeah, with you saying about Stittler taking very quick turns, it's kind of due to lack of options, if I'm honest. Yeah. But as a tempo mage, it's different to the Flame Waker tempo mages of old, but it's still trying to do the same kind of thing. You really don't want to be just playing your minions onto the board while your opponent has board control. You much rather you want to find a way to clear off your opponent's minions and swing it back. Exactly. You want to make a big swing turn, and then when your opponent repopulates the board, Fireball, Frostbolt, Firelands Portal, kill it off, allow your Mana Worms and Sorcerer's Apprentice to go face. But Stittler here has just been playing his minions as lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah, Meteor comes out from the... This feels bad to Meteor that kind of board, though. You're gonna, you know, it's almost minimal value coming through, and you can see here Mana-Tide Totem comes down immediately. He can follow up with Hero Power and also Thing from below, and again the board just gets repopulated in an even more aggressive and threatening state for Mysterious. Still threatening that wide board, and Stittler will be thinking about Bloodlust as well.
Yeah, man. I don't know if Meteor there was a winning play. You're denying Bloodlust, but I think if you are going to win this game, you're in you're in such a bad spot that you kind of just have to say, he doesn't have it. I'm not going to play around it, because if he doesn't have it, I lose now, and if he does have it, I lose anyway.
Devolve will do some work for Mysterious here. It's a 5 mana minion, by the way, so it'll actually lose a hell of a lot of stats, and goodness me, turns into an Oasis Snapshot.
I have not seen that card in a while, off of Devolve or not, but that's a pretty good minion here in terms of stats. Trades very nicely against most of the Shaman's board. Until another Thing from below comes down, that is. Mysterious,
I think you can't afford to respect Flame Strike at this point. You have Bloodlust in hand. You just need to go for that win condition of Bloodlusting the next turn. Stittler will know that that will be the case, just given the way that Mysterious is playing. Yeah. You would respect Flame Strike in a tempo mage, because some of them do run that card.
Yeah, it's kind of been falling out of favor recently. I think basically since Knights of the Frozen Throne, if I'm honest. But there's obviously the glyph potential. Yeah. But given that you've seen one and you've seen the spell from it, I think you're pretty safe to populate the board as much as you can. No secret is in play at the moment, so going with the Maelstrom Portal purely for the damage here, and then Bloodlust. Yeah, let's go for it. Deliver as much damage as possible. I think this is very possibly just lethal.
I think it is just lethal here. You've got 3-7. Yep, that is pretty much lethal with Jade Claws.
I would argue it's not even pretty much lethal. That's lethal. Or it is, or it isn't, as I always say.
It is or it isn't. Pretty much is not a descriptive word that we're going to use for lethal in the future. Derek has just schooled me. And Mysterious takes the win with Evolve Shaman. A deck that we saw a lot of during HCT as well, you know, especially the Europeans, Pavel and Orange, really liking that Evolve Shaman coming into their list. And it can do good work if you get hold of the board early, like we saw Mysterious do there, and especially against a tempo mage that just doesn't have tempo. Yeah. Kind of losing the win condition of the mage there.
I mean, yeah, sorry, those are the matchups you're looking for, those kind of aggressive matchups where you so securely lock down the board. And This is, I'm excited to see more Shaman today because it kind of whet my appetite with the Summer Championships over the weekend, with Purple in particular playing a really, really cool game where, you know, he got the Lich King into anti-magic shell, just completely denying, going into fatigue against a control mage. And I think if played well, it's a really, you know, graceful deck in the way it plays. You can be aggressive, you can go long-term for value. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it.
Yeah, and it all depends on the cards. I've seen a lot of, you know, people even including the Death Knight rule and everything, gives them the longevity sometimes that they need. Mysterious's final deck is going to be the Highlander Priest, and he's already got some fantastic cards, and he's going to keep them. You heard a lot of the HCT casters talking about this is one of the first times they see people keep 8-mana cards in hand from the mulligan, but it is because it is just such an important card. How important it will be in this matchup, I think, you know, time will have to tell. There is the burn for Stittler here that can be a good win condition for him. Mysterious is not going to let this Mana Worm get out of control. I like that decision. Just clear the board off, allow things to reset, and don't let them sort of curve out easily.
I mean, both things you've raised so far, I agree with Mysterious's decision. Shadow Reaper Anduin is a good keep, I would say, in pretty much any deck that runs Bone Mare, or sorry, against any deck that runs Bone Mare.
And this does.
Exactly, yep, this is a deck that runs Bone Mare. Very likely runs either Hydra or Scalebane as well in the 5-cost slot, so there are a lot of targets, as well as obviously the Crystal Runner and maybe Firelands Portal. And it's starting to look like, because he's got the Kazakas, he'll probably be able to see out the early stages of the game. By going for a 5-mana AoE potion, maybe a 1-mana AoE potion, to see him through to Shadow Reaper Anduin. And obviously there's the change of hero power as well, which will be really influential in this game.
And Mysterious just needs Raza, and suddenly this game almost feels like it's tied up in a knot. I like this. He's considering the use of the pint-sized potion to then trade in for free, keep his Wild Pyromancer on board, and he can heal it up afterwards too. So,
yeah, I like this too, actually. You don't see pint-sized potion used for its actual kind of intended purpose. I'm doing quotation marks
intended here. Purpose.
Of giving you valuable, preferential trades. It's nearly always with the Shadowed Pain or Horror. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see here because, you know, it's just a 3-2 body, the Pyromancer, but it could be more relevant later on with the effect.
None of these are particularly great. These are sort of 3 of the worst that I think you'd be hoping to see. The thing about playing Kazakus when you don't have a direct need for Kazakus is it's very difficult to know what type of spell that you want. Often deal 5 damage, summon a 5/5 is pretty much the go-to Raza 5-mana spell, and the 5/5 Demon there is pretty good for tempo on the next turn for Mysterious, and he currently has tempo. He currently has tempo on board right now.
He does. It's really... a lot of things to consider there, because in the first one, armor up against sheep, I think you'd probably... I mean, I don't see the potion that he picked unless we can get a look at it, because the potion, the sheep one is probably a good thing to go for, because you might see Crystal Runner, Bone Mare. He went for that one.
It works with the Pyromancer as well, by the way, because it just transforms it into a 1/1 Pyromancer, clears it instantly. So.
Exactly. And then on the following one, resurrecting 2 minions, he has Doomsayer in the pile, and at the moment he's got a 2 out of 3 chance of hitting it. Which is not necessarily a bad thing to get, even if it ends up blowing up the other minion you resurrected, just giving you full initiative to develop onto the board. I wouldn't have hated, but a 5/5 Demon as well, nothing to be sniffed at.
Mysterious is in the point where he's the one, again, in the control of the board, and it's the way he was in the Shaman matchup. I like the way that Stittler is this time holding on to things to try and get swing turns. He's being a bit more careful with his play, not just spamming minions on the board to contest, because I think if you're going to play the style of tempo mage that you were talking about, where you're looking for those swing turns, there it is. Everything in hand from Mysterious now, just as we were. I was on a train of thought, and Raza just gets pulled off the top.
It often has that effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does indeed. This is very, very good outlook for Mysterious for the rest of the game. Obviously, things can still go awry, but he has pretty much had every single tool that Highlander Priest needs to win a game here.
Yeah, it is playing perfectly into the Firelands Portal here, but to be honest, like Priest of the Feast along with the Flame Elemental would also have done that, so I really don't dislike it, to be honest. Polymorph a random minion. 2 out of 3, it's great. 1 out of 3, it's pretty bad.
He's going to get the 1 out of 3 pretty bad. Derek has cursed him. And there is...
That wasn't me. Don't put this on me, man.
I might be putting it on you, my friend. However, all of these minions, when added to a Bone Mare, will be susceptible to Shadow Reaper Anduin, and Stittler looks like he's not going to play into that too hard, and I do like that. You know, you've got to respect the turn 8 Shadow Reaper. I mean, Mysterious has had everything so far. There's 2 lines of thinking. It's like he can't have everything. but also he probably has everything. So he's not going to play into that. He's not going to make his board state super weak to Shadow Reaper. And right now, it's in a really good spot, apart from the Manaware.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, from both sides, for the Mage here, there are definitely situations, if you run out of cards, you have to play the Bone Mare. It's the only good turn you've got. But here, very respectable development onto the board outside of that. And for the Priest here, the Shadow Reaper Anduin, it's usually a bit more of a difficult decision when you haven't already played a Raza. But in this instance, you can heal yourself, get the ping, get rid of the sheep. You've got Priest of the Feast for the heal after the fact. To be honest, I think I'd just play it. Yeah,
I think what Stittler's done here by frostbolting the 5-2, obviously it means that he can't use that this turn, but also it means that if he were to play Shadow Reaper Anduin on this turn, it would just destroy his own 5-2 on board as well, meaning that any semblance that he has, I think you're right, I think it's probably just the best play. It does clean up the majority of that threatening board.
It's worth mentioning, though, from Stittler, cool play to frostbolt the minion, but not, actually kill it off, because it does end up being killed.
Look at this, I think...
Oh, no, don't fall into the trap!
Job's done.
Oh, okay, it's counterspell. Oh, right, okay, he knew it was counterspell.
He knew it was counterspell.
Sorry, I forgot the secret was there.
I forgot the secret was there as well. But also, it doesn't reset. I think maybe he thought it was going to reset the hero power regardless because you played the card. That's an interesting interaction because in Rogues, if you get counterspelled, you still gain the combo.
Yeah.
But you don't get the reset on the Shadow Reaper Anduin hero.
Yeah, I think it's that like it counts as you've played a card, but the spell doesn't resolve, so you don't get a minion with Medivh or anything like that off of it.
And actually, you can see Stittler could just go wide here. He's got Fireball in hand. He also has that Cabal Crystal Runner if he so wants. I guess he's just saying the maximum damage that Mysterious could put out next turn is quite a huge amount, so he doesn't maybe want to go too wide. There's Dragonfire Potion that you need to play around. There's a lot of AoE clears that he doesn't want to play into too hard, and obviously Cabal Crystal Runner isn't the best into those kind of things, and Mirror Entity comes up.
Yeah, I think the keeping of Cabal Crystal Runner there is Stittler is thinking, if a Dragonfire Potion comes down, do I actually have enough stuff to repopulate the board afterwards? If not, I'll just throw it down, because if he has it, I lose anyway. But with Crystal Runner into Bone Mare, if a complete board clear comes down, it's still actually a very respectable board coming down after that from the Mage.
So Mysterious can clear up the majority of things here, and it basically forces Stittler to have an answer to this Gadgets and Auctioneer, and Mysterious is going to cycle 2 cards to boot and clear up those 2 pesky 4 attack means, and he gets a Loot Hoarder off the top, which means he can clear everything else too. So a pretty straightforward turn for Mysterious. I think he's cycled a couple of cards nicely. He's got some answers in hand.
Forgets the last ping here.
Oh no.
Getting a bit sloppy, I would say, from Mysterious. You know, you were saying at the start both of these players have been playing very quickly. They have, but now it's time to slow down. He's getting ahead of himself. It's going well for him because he's got the Raza and Anduin on curve. But that's by no means a complete victory.
Shadow Visions has got a pretty good chance to pick up a Dragonfire Potion here. Mysterious might have just been bailed out by the top deck. Now, if you were Mysterious, would you ping face and then use Priest of the Feast? No, wait, you can't use Dragonfire Potion then if you could.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't need Dragonfire Potion. Maybe he's got Shadowware Death in there. Maybe he can just clear up board like that.
Yeah, I reckon you can. You take any 1 mana spell you got left, like Power Wedge Shield, and you can use that at the same time. Maybe you still take the Dragonfire Potion to go afterwards. I mean, what was he actually expecting to get off the Shadow Visions that he could play at the same time here? He's played the Holy Smite.
He's not played Shield yet. He's not played Power Word Shield
He's not played Shield. So I think that was the only one he was looking for, because he's played both his 0 mana spells and the Holy Smite. I mean, it's still looking okay here.
He's got a good amount of healing off, and you have to respect there is a card that Stittler's held in his hand for the entire game that could very well have been Pyroblast. You know, Mysterious. I don't know if they can see each other's lists. Do they know what each other's lists are in full?
I don't think they know each other's deck lists. Otherwise, you know, Mysterious at the start of the game, not sure if it was Pirate Warrior or Control Warrior.
However, the Dragonfire Potion pickup is going to be very useful here, and now Stittler with no cards in hand is going to get cleaned up, and Mysterious can populate. He's got Binding Heal as well, another 1 mana card that he could have been looking for, and suddenly it's all coming up trumps. He doesn't even need to use the Dragonfire Potion as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'd agree with this. Like, what is your opponent going to do as the tempo mage to repopulate the board in that strongly? Primordial Glyph as well. If this card was in Priest, I think I'd just stop playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, I think so too. Primordial Glyph is going to give him a spell to choose from here. Greater Healing Potion isn't half bad against the burn from Stittler. He's got Shadow Madness and Embrace Darkness. Goodness me.
Like, you don't even need to worry about minions for the rest of the game. And, you know, this is why I don't like saving the Dragonfire Potion, because Stittler's still at 22 health. You should have been using the spells you have in hand to clear the board, because none of these other things can target face. Only your hero power can. You want to start fitting those in, because you aren't necessarily going to be able to cycle through your deck 100% of the time. You might run out of stuff to do.
You get ping first.
Do the ping first, yeah. Yeah, I think this game overall, he's been relying too much on using the pings, and he's just been too conservative with the Dragonfire Potion. Like, what are you looking to save it for?
It was a good opportunity to use Dragonfire Potion there.
It's probably not going to matter.
I don't think it will. I mean, basically Stittler's looking at Mysterio's hand and said, if he has just one playable card, which he obviously is going to at 10 mana, I'm going to lose my board regardless.
I mean, like, even here, I'd probably go for the Dragonfire Potion. Like, you just don't need to worry. Like, you can just fire this stuff off the face. Maybe now that you've lost so many resources, you do need to be a bit more careful of a big minion coming down. Like, I don't know, the Bittertide Hydra that might be in the deck. We don't even know if it's in there.
Yeah, Mysterious has played a very controlled game. A lot of people say when you get Shadow Reaper Anduin, it's just worth to start slamming that hero power to face as quickly as possible whilst trying to maintain the board in a comfortable state. But Mysterious has played a very control-heavy game. I don't know what Stittler's outs are at this point, Darek. Are there any outs for Stittler right now, or is this just Mysterious's game in the bag?
So he's played not both Glyphs at this point, and Glyph is always something to think about at least. Pyroblast obviously doesn't do it at this point. Fireland's Portal into the Earth Elemental. There's the Bittertide Hydra I was saying is maybe in the deck, but it's too late. Turning your opponent's 2 damage hero power into effectively a 3 damage hero power means you have lost this game. Stittler has gone down now, I believe, 0-2 in the series so far, and Mysterious brings himself back up to 1-1, I believe.
Yes, so there we go. Mysterious is going to take the series against Stittler. Stittler didn't quite manage to get his foot in the door. And despite some, I mean, arguably sloppy plays from both of these guys, there's been some moments there I think they'll look back and reflect on and say, maybe I could have played that a little bit differently. Some very quick turns that maybe should have been slowed down. But Mysterious pulls himself through. Our previous finalist in multiple ESL Premiership finalists is going to get a win here in this week of the ESL Premiership. And it was definitely a close affair in some of those games. Definitely that Jade Druid versus Big Druid was a really close matchup, very swingy between the two of them. Mysterious eventually pulling it out, but the deck choices from, the deck choices from Stittler. The deck choices from Stittler might sort of reflect back and say maybe my lineup could have been tweaked just a little bit. He had a very swingy, maybe sort of a high roll lineup. A lot of people could say. But regardless, Mysterious is going to take the win.
Yeah, nicely done by him. Kind of as expected. Stittler, it's unfortunate when a newer player to the scene does quite this, I don't want to say quite this badly. He's been up against some very strong players so far, but yeah, going 0-2 in the first couple of weeks is not where you want to be.
Hey, you're down there with some great company. Green Sheep and Duncan also
Very
at 0-2, so again, things can change. Got lots and lots of action to come in the future weeks of the ESL Premiership. We'll be back after a very short break where we're going to have our